And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So today we are going to be reviewing Michael. I have my good friend and co-host Rossi with me. We're going to be doing our non-spoiler review for the first 30 minutes, and then the hour, and then after that, 30 minutes later, we're going to wind up doing a spoiler review for Michael. So if you haven't seen it or anything like that, I advise you to skip the last 30 minutes and go and see Michael. So with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's review Michael.
What's up,
And
John?
hey, Rossi, nothing much. How are you?
I'm good.
That's
I'm good.
good. It's good to be able to finally give you guys a show. It's great to be back after a month
Yes.
of a hiatus, a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's great to be back over here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like I mentioned, we are going to be doing our spoiler-free review of
Right.
Michael, and then an hour later, we're going to be talking about spoiler stuff with Michael. So everybody knows my first thoughts. If you haven't seen my spoiler review by myself, go and check it out. But I want to get your first initial thoughts of it.
Um, I couldn't wait to see. Am I loud?
No, 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 you're perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry guys. So I couldn't wait to see it. After you went to go see it, John, I was like, okay, I got to see it, and I got to see it soon because I definitely want to talk about it. Just to let you guys know, I went and got the seats with the Rumble, so we paid a little bit more, so I can really, really experience
You want the
it.
Michael Jackson
I
experience.
want
You
the
paid extra for it. Okay.
I did. I paid extra for the seat, the surround sound. It was awesome. But honestly, for me, being a fan of Michael Jackson, I'm very critical of these type of movies. And just the opening scene alone, I was hooked. I was into it. I didn't want the film to end really. It was so good. My first impression was really good. And Jafar, wow, what a great performance. I mean, what he had to go through to play his uncle and the time he had to put in to really get the movements down and just his everyday movements and his voice. I didn't feel like it was an imitation.
No, that's one
Yeah.
thing that I can say about this, and I even said this in my review by myself. At times, I find myself just being able to watch just him playing Michael Jackson, and he is actually Michael Jackson. He actually embodies Michael Jackson. I don't feel
Right.
like he's doing an impression for 2.5 hours. If you do an impression for 2.5 hours, you're gonna
Yeah.
get bored of it.
Right.
But he really transformed into his uncle. I have to say he embodies him. He did a
Yes.
really great job of it. I love what Jafar Jackson did with Michael
Yeah.
Jackson's part. Also, too, Coleman Domingo as his
Oh
father.
my
I really
gosh.
thought that
Right.
he did a
Right.
great job with it. And we're gonna
Yes.
get into Derpy in a minute about what he just said in the comment section
Yeah.
because
That's
I
so
do
funny.
want to
Yes.
I
That
want to
was
touch
so
on that.
funny.
But
And Nia
my
Long, hate to interrupt you. Nia Long did a great job playing Catherine Jackson. I have
yeah,
to give her that. Yes.
I do have to say that she did a
Yeah.
fantastic job with that as well.
Yes.
But even though here's the thing, I know that you and I grew up in the '90s. I know that you probably seen the ABC special of the
Yes.
Jacksons and stuff like that, just like I did.
Yes.
And I feel like, what they did with Joe Jackson with this one, they kind of toned him down a little bit. It kind of feels like a VH1 kind of
Right.
movie in a sense.
Right.
But I feel like the way Coleman was able to do it was a lot better
Yeah.
in a sense, even though I wish that they did a little bit more with him in a sense. But just the fact that he had dominance over Michael,
Oh my
he gave me
gosh.
anxiety just watching him on
Yes.
screen and
Yes.
just seeing what he does. I'm like, this dude would actually give me anxiety just because of the fact he would whip my tail for because I wanted to go out and play
Right. No.
style.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they did play it a little light with Joe Jackson. They we understood who his father was and what he was. Very abusive. And if you've watched documentaries in the past about Michael Jackson and the Jackson family, you already knew that about Joe Jackson. So that wasn't a surprise. But I mean, just the spankings, the whoopings with Michael was just it was brutal. I mean, he was what, 5, 6 years old, and and the effect that it had on Michael throughout the years, because if you look at interviews that Michael has done and they ask him about his father, he did refer to his dad. He called him Joseph,
Right.
you know.
because he didn't want anything to do with him, and I don't blame
Yes.
him because he
Yes.
mentally abused him, not only mentally abused him, but physically abused him,
Yes.
and mental abuse is a whole lot worse than physical abuse, in my opinion,
Right.
because at least with physical abuse, your wounds can go away, but
Right.
mentally, you can live up here in
Right.
forever,
Oh
and you
yeah.
can definitely tell what he did, especially when Michael winds up getting he winds up getting a nose job done,
Yeah.
and Joseph is like, "What did you do?" Because allergies. He just
Yeah.
lied to his
Yeah.
father instantly because that was, like, the safest thing for him to do was
Right.
to lie to his father, which is sad to do,
Right.
but it was
My
also yeah,
Go
go on ahead.
ahead. So there's so much to talk about. My concern was the fact that before Michael got the surgery, there was a scene where Joseph would refer to him as Big Nose.
Mhm.
He called Michael names. So I wonder if that's true. And if that is true, that obviously gave him a complex, about his nose. But if that's true, then he must have called everyone, all his kids, Big Nose, because every single one of them went and got nose jobs. So, but
Mhm.
I think beating perfection in him as a kid did have an effect on Michael because everything had to be perfect. But I liked how he explained wanting to be a mystery as the film goes on and explaining why he didn't do interviews in the 90s or the late 80s, until Oprah did that interview with him. But he wanted to remain a mystery, and I thought that was a good business plan for him because he was literally a mystery for us.
Right, and I definitely see why he would actually want to be a mystery and stuff like that, especially the things that he's been through. But
Yeah,
also too, with Joseph calling him Big Nose and stuff,
yeah.
here's the thing: I don't think he wanted to be resembled as his father because he was so close to how he looks, what he looks like.
Hmm.
So I think with him getting the nose job done and everything was to be further away from his father than he could possibly be and stuff because he doesn't want to think of it like this. It's like the man in the mirror, right? The
Yeah,
song. He doesn't want to be a resemblance of what his father made is.
right.
And if I was mentally abused by my own father or anything like that, I don't want to have no resemblance or any ties to him. And especially having his nose just like his father. That would be
But
like
all
looking in, yeah.
Yeah, but also, I mean, with the whole nose thing, I mean, he also mentioned that, he did it for aesthetics, because when you're in that business and you're being filmed all the time and pictures are taken of yourself all the time, could it also be that he wanted to look more pleasing on camera and, in film, and he didn't find himself attractive,
Oh,
I mean, we all, was it early body dysmorphia, basically? Was he
basically,
dealing
yeah.
with that? You know what I mean? And then,
Right, because
yeah,
even when we read the Peter Pan book, because there is the scene where he actually reads the Peter Pan book and he looks
right,
at Peter's nose.
right,
He actually sees himself as Peter Pan
right,
and
right,
stuff. So he's like, that's where normalcy looks like to him
right,
because
yeah,
he's trying to escape what Joe is doing to him
right,
and stuff and just want to be a normal kid.
right.
So
I
I
do
could
agree
see
with that.
that as well. And
Yeah.
what Derby said, so basically, thanks to Joe Jackson for whipping Michael on, or we would have this movie or multiple music records. Here's the thing: mental abuse, physical abuse is not right, no matter which way you slice and dice it or anything like that. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. But
Right,
you
right.
but I do have to say that, even though Michael didn't want to perform or anything like that, you can definitely tell that he was a singer. He was the talent of the Jackson
Yes,
5 in the
absolutely,
1970s.
yes, yes. I don't think that Joe knew how big Michael would become, but I think he had a clue when Michael would sit and watch, movies with Fred Astaire. I mean, and he talked about that in life, about his love for Fred Astaire, when he did the interview with Oprah. His love for James Brown, and he was really into dance and just watching them, and then you see him go out on stage and doing these, James Brown, Fred Astaire type of moves and made it his own. I mean, he couldn't even record in a studio when he was a young boy because he couldn't stay still. He would feel the music and want to dance. And I thought that was just cute and interesting that he was just a professional by the age of what, 12?
By the age of 12, he was a
You know?
professional, and then
Yeah.
Also, too, you also have the producers who this
Yeah.
producer guy that was like trying to teach him how to producing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And Joe Jackson got jealous of the fact that he's spending time with his son.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you're not stepping up as a father or anything like that. He needs some type of guidance, some type of father figure.
Right.
And that part just made me tear up because this guy is actually being a father figure to him
Right.
and being someone that Joe Jackson isn't. And I just love that bond between the two of them because of the fact that he's like, okay, Michael, these are where the levels are.
Yeah.
This is how you mix it. And I also
Yeah.
like in the side of the booth and everything goes, okay, Michael, you need to stay still
Yeah.
inside the booth.
And that was
Yeah,
Barry Gordy, just to let you guys know. That
yeah.
was Barry Gordy
Mhm.
with Michael because Michael was on Motown. That's who discovered Michael was Barry Gordy's assistant, the Susan. So that was his relationship with Barry Gordy in the studio. And, Joe being jealous because, and Joe coming in thinking that Michael's bothering Barry, and he wasn't. And you can see that Barry Gordy was even seemed to be disturbed by the relationship that Michael had with his father, being how Joe was. I mean, you can see it. You can absolutely see that he was intimidated and telling Michael, we got to go because I don't want you to basically bother Mr. Gordy, and for him to say anything you need, Michael, any question you have, I'll answer that. And so he played a pivotal part in Michael's life, as well as later years with Quincy Jones, who then had Michael at the age of a young man and then took that career to, the level, a whole nother level.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I also like another thing too is like you see that he's actually losing out on his childhood, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he wants a little touch of that, and he just
Yeah.
can't get it from anywhere because by that time, everybody's grown. The kids
Right.
are out there dating and everything.
Yeah.
Michael just got done going to a toy store,
Right.
and he gets a Twister game. He goes, "Hey
Hmm.
guys, I got Twister. If anybody wants to play."
Right.
And he goes, "Okay, I can't be with y'all," or something like that. And he go,
Right.
but I just felt bad for him because the dude just wants someone to hang with
Yeah.
and everything. And at
Yeah.
that moment, everybody's grown. They're all having their own adult lives.
Yep.
And Michael is in this world where he doesn't want to grow up in this Neverland mind of his. That's
Yeah.
what I like to call it.
Right.
And especially whenever you first see him buy the orangutan that he gets,
Yeah.
or the
The little
mo-
monkey.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and it just hurts me that you guys didn't want to take at least 5-10 minutes out of your day just to play Twister with them, even though it might be a little cringe because you're adults. But
Yeah. Yeah.
at the same time, though, you're a family. Have some fun together. You know?
Yeah, yeah. My thing is like the fact that, well, Michael was the youngest, so I get why he, kept, hold of the Disney and constantly, reading and looking at Neverland, like escaping his reality into this, fantasy world, but I also got that, the boys are older, they're like young men. You know what I mean? They're like
Right.
grown men that are dating and they're past Twister, play a game of Monopoly or something, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like, these
He's like,
grown
I can't
men,
stand y'all.
playing, what I mean, playing Twister, you know what I mean? Get some Monopoly, Michael. That probably would have worked. But also I do want to discuss really quick. What do you think how do you think it was for Jafari to play Michael and play these scenes where he wasn't even a thought yet, and to know these intimate things about his uncle?
I think there's like an emotional level for him
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
as a Jackson, being a Jackson, playing someone that he's related to, and
Right.
just seeing videos of comparing Michael and him
Right.
together is just something to actually see on YouTube.
Right.
But I think it's just an emotional weight that he had to carry is like, I gotta fulfill these big shoes of my
Right.
uncle. How do I do that in a way that is caring and loving and respectful to my uncle? And
Right.
it's not gonna be something that is considered maybe rude or offensive, not
Yeah.
only to my uncle, but also to my family as well.
Right.
So you have to try to counterbalance it and stuff to where it's not gonna be that
Cringe.
right, exactly. That cringe.
Cringe. Yeah. Yeah.
But, I do believe in a biopic where you have to talk about the negatives and positives of somebody's
Yes.
life. as
Yep.
well. You can't just glorify them and hold them up to a pedestal. But at the same
Yes.
time, though, this one does it respectfully because of the fact this is the rise and star of
Yes.
the pop star
Right.
and the king of pop that we know are
Right.
gonna know later on in the future. So you can have those emotions and those and stuff like that of I feel bad for Michael, I feel bad that he got betrayed this way and stuff like that,
Yeah.
of why he's going through these things.
Right.
But I think that later on in part 2, maybe they might actually show the pain some flashbacks of what his father did to him even more
Right.
that's still haunting him, or even go into some of the other stuff as well, because I think that you do need to actually have the counterbalance between the 2. But
Right.
going off of your question too, like him playing it, I bet that must have been some anxiety going through his mind though. It was like,
I would think so.
I have to play my uncle.
Right.
And I could just see him asking his aunts and his other family members, like, how do I play Michael? What do I
Right.
do? Because
Right.
I want this to be respectful.
Right. And them knowing their uncle. I mean, he was old enough to know him. You know what
Right.
I mean? But I don't know, did they get together, as family? Did he see his uncle as much as, we would probably see our relatives, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or was it a once in a blue moon because Michael was so busy and kind of, lived his own life, and it seems like he kind of was distanced from his family, as far as we know in the media, but maybe not. I do have to say though, a lot of the performances that Jafari did as Michael, there were times where, some of the stage performances I would forget because, you remember the victory tour, you remember
Mhm.
that tour. And also the fact that, it showed Michael struggling with, leaving the Jackson 5 and going out on his own, and how Joseph was able to manipulate him because it did, you did see from what they're saying, Michael loved his family. At that time, he loved his family, he loved his brothers, but he also had ambitions to be, who we know as Michael Jackson, beat it. He
Right.
had a vision of what he saw his future being, but he couldn't take them along with him. It's like it's a boy band. It's done. You split up.
Right. Even
But to
whenever
be
Joe is trying to
pawned,
squeeze, well, think of it like this. It started in the 1970s and Joe is still
yeah,
trying to push them through
yeah,
even through the 80s.
yeah,
I'm like, Joe, even you're living through the lenses of your own kids, thinking that they're
right,
still little, just as Michael's also trying thinking that he's still little as well.
right,
So you're
right,
you're having that nostalgia of the fact of these kids. You need to let that go. It's going to
right,
destroy you. It's going to destroy your family.
right,
But he still pursues it as if people are still interested in this. And Michael
right.
knows that the times have changed and
Yes,
he knows it's time to move on. That's the grown up in him. It's like, hey,
yes,
look, I need to do my own thing, guys. I
yeah.
can't do what I did when I was a kid.
Right.
You
And
know,
wanting to be his own person, wanting to
right.
be his own man, wanting to call his own shots. I mean, listen, the fact that he lived at home as long as he did, you know what I mean? They all lived together from what it seems until their 20s,
Yeah.
maybe 19, 20, maybe 22. They lived at home. He still had his room when they moved to Encino. He still had his room. It was, as we all know, the toys, the Disney figures and all that stuff. But he was still coming home at night to his home, living with his mom and dad, and the fear of Joseph when he would come into the house, like you said, getting his nose job, regardless, he was a grown man able to do it and to be afraid, of
Mhm.
Joseph, or the scene where he was in a kitchen and he had a really good day and he's getting ice cream and Joseph is just standing there,
Just stand
looking at, yeah,
room.
and his whole demeanor would just change, but you in real life, in the interview with Oprah, and that I bring that up because that was a huge interview, he spoke about those things, he spoke about Joseph. And it seems like even when he brought up his father's name, it was this kind of just this tight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just yeah,
You can
yeah,
tell that he didn't like talking about it. And
yeah,
even mentioning his name gave him
yeah,
anxiety.
right.
But I also want to talk about this though too that pissed me off with Joseph
Hmm.
was like this, "If it wasn't for me, you would not be da 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 da." No, 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 no.
Right,
No, sir. If it
right.
wasn't for and I said this out loud in the theater. I didn't
No,
even
you
realize
did.
I did. I didn't realize I was even doing it. I'm like, "No, sir. If it wasn't for Michael having the talent,
Yeah,
you wouldn't have that mansion. The
yeah,
Jackson 5, you might as well just call it the Jackson 4 because Michael
right,
carried them on their backs
Right.
and everything.
Yeah.
He was
All
the one who was out
talented.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
all
they're
definitely all talented, but let's be real. You know what I mean? Let's be real. What did you think about Catherine? You know, and they were Jehovah's Witness. You know, just to
Mhm,
let you guys know, they were Jehovah's Witness. You know, he referred to his mom as mother.
mhm.
It showed that he absolutely adored his mom, loved his mom. He didn't blame his mom for, you know, Joe's behavior. His mom seemed to definitely be there when he needed her to be a mom. And even she was intimidated because Joe is just a huge personality, you know, very intimidating. So for her, that's very quiet and seemed very docile. I love the fact that she started to speak up and letting him
Me
know,
too.
you know, let's not get it confused. If it weren't for Michael, we wouldn't even be in this
I'm glad
house.
she said it. I actually
You know, I
clapped
was
during
waiting
that
for her. Please say something.
because here's the thing. I love the chemistry between her playing Michael's mother. I
Yeah.
love the chemistry between the two of them.
Yes.
Not only did I like that, but I also like the fact that she watched movies with them. She
Yes.
nurtured him, and
Yes.
he also had that mutual respect between her. And it's like, hey, look, mom, it's not your fault that I
Right.
grew up in this environment or anything like that. I don't blame
Right.
you at all because it's
Right.
not your fault. Because here's the thing, like you said, there's a presence about Joseph. He towers over her
Yes.
with that male dominance over her.
Yes.
And there's even a moment where I thought he was actually going to physically hit her.
Me too. I was wondering that, you know, was there some type of abuse between the two of them? You know, did that happen? Because there were scenes where it was tense, you know, and it made me question, you know, what don't we know? You know, I mean, I know that's family business, but still, it just seemed like he was just like, you know, he slapped somebody in a minute. You know what I mean? Like just
Exactly. Like, if he ends up doing what he did to Michael, imagine what he could do to somebody else in the family, like his wife or
right,
anything like that too. Like your
right,
mind can't help but wonder that because he's also
yeah,
mentally and physically abusing his son
yeah,
or his all his sons basically, all except.
yes,
But with Michael, more of the physical abuse and the mental abuse.
yes,
But it does make you wonder: is he also doing the same thing to his own wife as well?
right, right.
But I
And
do
you
like
know,
the fact that, yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
But I do like the fact that she finally speaks up and she's like, "Look, enough's enough. I put up with it in the '70s, in the '80s.
Right,
Enough's enough, Joe. Like, what are you gonna do? He's a grown
right,
ass man now. He's grown. You can't do anything to him,
right, right.
and he's still trying to control his life. But I do like what Michael does. Like later on in the film, like
Oh my
this
gosh.
And I
Go
like
ahead. Yeah.
how he sits there, and at first I thought this was actually John Cusack, and it's not even John Cusack, it's actually another actor because of the wig, it looked like John Cusack to me,
Yeah, me too. I was like,
but
yeah,
but it's Miles Teller
yes,
playing the agent, and I
right,
just love this. He goes, "So, you managed the Beach Boys?" "Yeah." "I wanna be a big star.
right,
I wanna be bigger than anybody. I wanna let my light shine. Can you do
right.
that?" "Yeah, I can do that. There's one other thing. I want my father fired. Can you do that?"
Yes, that's right. Can you do that?
He goes, "When do you want it done?" "Fast."
Yeah,
Sends him a fax.
right. And fires his dad. And but think about that. You live right next. You live at home. You're with your dad, but that
Mhm.
just tells you I wouldn't want to give him, you know, his
I'll
walking
be moving
papers. You
out,
know what I
like, in
mean? I
24
wouldn't want to
hours.
do it. So I got where Mike was like anybody, you know, because it's not the first time he had somebody reach out and tell Joe, like telling Joe when he talked to when he was joining Epic Records,
Yep.
and he was talking to the owners or whatever, the executives, and telling them, you know, one thing I need you to do. And at this point, he had sold so much, he was doing so well. And remember, he told them, I need you to tell Joe that I'm leaving the Jackson Five. You need to do that. And so they went and did that. It didn't go as quite as well as they wanted it to because Joe just didn't get it. You know, he still was trying to make money off of those boys, off of those young men, so that he can continue the life that he's living, whatever he does, gambling, whatever it is that he was into. You know, he wanted them to pay for that. So it was
Mhm.
like just squeezing them to, like you said, it was over with. You know, one thing they didn't mention on the movie was that they had cartoons. Jackson 5 had the Jackson 5 cartoon. Like,
Yeah, I remember
they
that.
had a lot of product. They were a brand. I mean, so it's like, when you look at that, by the time Michael is ready to go on his own, dude, you've gotten everything from him.
Mhm.
Like, because of him,
And
you
then
guys became a brand. It's time to go. It's done.
right, and then Joe's over there trying to compare them to Coke. I'm like, dude, you're like Diet Coke at this moment. Like, you're not even Coke. You're just Sam's Club
Right.
that nobody wants.
Right.
You're Dr. Thunder at this moment because everybody forgot about y'all.
Yeah.
And everybody's now towering for Michael.
Yeah.
And I want to point this out, though, too. And we're getting closer to our spoiler talk. But I do want to talk about this. I want to talk about two things: the anxiety, and then also two. I also want to talk about how he comes up with songs and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
how quick he is with the choreography, with the dancing and
Right.
stuff in a minute.
Right.
But you were talking about the anxiety of living at home with your own parent, and then you
Right.
fire them and coming home to them. I didn't go through the same emotions, but I can relate to being with someone that's toxic
Okay.
and being in your head and then being afraid to speak out. And
Oh,
then you
yeah.
finally have people that will actually have your back
Right.
and speaking out for you.
Right.
That is powerful to me and stuff. And I'm like, I don't blame Michael. I don't blame Michael at all for wanting to get other people to actually side with him because Joe's not gonna listen to him.
Yeah.
He's a
Oh, yeah.
narcissistic a douchebag that doesn't care about nothing but himself and also to benefit off of Michael. And
Right.
then he gets the most connest man in the world to actually do this tour that Michael doesn't even want to go on.
Yeah.
And two,
Yeah,
well,
that damn victory tour. Yeah, that tour was great tour, but he did not want to be a part of that. He did not want to do that because of that tour and advertising for Pepsi. That's when his hair caught fire, you know, which did a lot of damage because from what we are to understand, because of that, that caused a lot of pain with his scalp being burned, you know, and doing, you know, transplants and the grafting of his scalp because of the burns. We all remember that being on the news, and he could have literally died. And the fact that they're saying that Joe's response was, how soon do you think he could be able to perform, was just he was portrayed as cold-blooded, you know, just absolutely cold-blooded. And you felt bad for Michael at that point, but they did the tour, and I thought it was really interesting that, you know, how he kind of ended the tour and what
Me
he
too.
said to kind of let them know this is it. And I like how he looks over at Joe.
And Joe is
And
like,
Joe is freaking out.
that was classic.
That was great. If that happened, that was great.
Right. I thought that was a perfect send off as far as
Right.
that goes. Like,
Yes.
he's like, I just want to let everybody know that this is gonna be our last tour. I'm like, I'm over there vibing with it, but yep, it sure is.
It
Yep.
sure is. Yes.
I'm over there
Yes.
vibing with Michael the whole time, aka
Right.
Jafar, because I'm thinking that this is Michael. But I also want to point out this: we grew up in this time in the 80s and 90s, Ross, where
Right.
we actually seen people passing out, watching the
Yes.
crowd because
Yes.
this is a black male dominance. That
Right.
Elvis Presley had this kind of thing where women were passing out
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
him and stuff like that. Michael
Yes.
had that same type of feeling with these women. I'm
Right.
like, damn. I'm like, I remember that. I really do. I remember women passing out, women
Yes.
passing out during the concerts. I remember
Yes.
guys wanting to be Michael. I
Oh
actually
my
did Michael
gosh,
Jackson
Corey
impressions
Feldman.
and everything in kindergarten, doing moonwalks.
Same here. Same here.
So, you know, it just shows you the gravitas that Michael has on people,
Right. Right.
on how much people love his music.
Yeah.
And but I'll let you go on ahead and talk about some other stuff too. But I know that we want to talk about the music aspect of it as well. With
Oh yeah, the music
videos.
aspect. It was absolutely great. The huge performance where Michael Jackson comes out as Michael Jackson, and that was at Motown 25. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember seeing him on stage. I remember him performing Billie Jean, and when he did that moonwalk, the stadium went nuts. It was just all over the news, all over ET, Entertainment Tonight. It was huge, you know. And I remember my little sister and I, and every other kid in the neighborhood. I mean, would start dressing like Michael Jackson. They had the hair like Michael Jackson. I mean, the jackets. Remember the jackets? I mean, we never
Yep.
got ones; they're too expensive. But I remember
Yeah, I
kids
didn't
with
get
the
one.
jackets. Like it was like how Madonna came out, and every girl wanted to be Madonna. You know, but Michael Jackson was a family name. You know what I mean? Like the whole family could go and see him. The whole family can sit and watch him perform. You know, when he finally was able to get on MTV, you know, his videos became premieres, became movie premieres, short movies, short films, and you would gather around as a family and you would sit and watch that on MTV. Everyone would be like, "Have you seen Michael Jackson's new video?" It was the biggest talk with everyone because there wasn't many people that did not like Michael Jackson, and the fainting was just it was overwhelming. I mean, people loving him that much to where they're fainting at his concerts, and you'd see clips. They always showed clips on MTV News. You know, the latest concert, his Budapest concert. I mean, carrying people out was
Yep.
just
And
unbelievable.
stage surfing people out of the
Yes, out
stadium.
of the stage. Yes, yes. I mean,
Amazing
they
too.
he and remember there were times where I remember I think it was the history concert and he would come out on stage. I remember he just stood there like a statue with the glasses on, the suit on, and he just stood there and said nothing. And the crowd would listen. You bought a ticket to go see Michael Jackson and you didn't even last the intro. You know what I mean? Like how
All he
much
has to
money
do is
did
just
you pay
sit
to
there,
get a
stand
front
there.
row seats and you didn't even see the concert? Like you saw him and they had to get you out of there. Imagine that. No one even thinks about that. How much money were they paying for these concerts to pass out and you don't get to see the concert?
Right?
Great seats.
But
Great
I just
seats.
see, oh, what did you think of the concert? Lasted 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. He came out,
Right.
stood there, and I couldn't contain myself. That's how
Right.
much people loved this man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about this. Like, I like his creativity where he's going through the cards
Oh,
of
yeah,
what he
that was
wants.
great.
That was good. I also like how he's I like how he actually familiarizes himself with the news and stuff like that about
Yes.
the Crips and the blood,
Oh, yes.
yes. I liked
Yes.
how he did that, and he's like, "Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Right.
unite both sides, let them be in my music video for Beat It."
Right.
And I like how he comes up with the not cinematography, but the, uh, the
Choreography.
choreography, yeah,
Right.
the dance
Right.
choreography right there on the spot. He goes, "Okay, guys, what I wanna do is I'm gonna go on ahead, do the same moves I'm doing, but you're
Right.
gonna do the opposite moves as I am, but we're still gonna be in sync."
Right.
I'm like, "What?"
And
So
that was real. He really did
right,
have gang members. Remember that
yeah,
came out that they really were gang members in his Beat It video. That was
yeah.
not a lie. That made the news.
I remember, VH1 trivia things that they used to do,
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
I watched that's how I learned about some of the stuff,
Yes.
and I'm like, "That's a pretty amazing, that music," and that's what Michael wanted to do was unite the world with his music
Yes, absolutely.
and stuff, and even his manager goes, "Michael, I don't know if this is a good idea. Trust me, this is a good idea. I can make this work."
Right.
Then
Right.
even with the Thriller music video, and he
Oh,
had a point,
wow.
like, I like how we're seeing as an audience seeing it. At first, I'm like, "Okay, this looks kinda fire, this looks pretty cool."
Right.
And then once you get, like, the half body shot through the angle of the director, you're
Yeah.
realizing, "Oh, you're not seeing the footwork and everything that
Right.
Michael wa is trying to do."
Right.
So I like how he is working with the directors and stuff like that. So I
Right.
like how he's doing that. And, I like the fact that he does short films and stuff like and things like
Yes.
that for his videos because
Yes.
when it's like a Michael Jackson experience.
Yes,
Like
and all his videos were yes,
you're not gonna
they
get
were
it from anyone
experiences.
else. And I also like how he was
Exactly.
like how the executive was like, "Michael, no one's gonna play you on MTV with
Yeah.
Thriller." He goes, "Trust me, they are gonna and
Yeah, you're
sure
gonna
enough,
make it happen.
yeah, you're gonna make it happen.
We're gonna make that happen. That's gonna happen. And it's even when you think about that, just that statement alone, knowing that at that time, black artists cannot make it on MTV. They wouldn't even give them a chance. It was like it was a white platform for white audience, and like Michael said, my music is not for black, white. My music is for people. It's for the world. And them doing that and putting him on MTV, it's like you guys don't know what you guys are talking about. You don't know. You have no clue what people would listen to. You know, if the music's good, people are going to listen to it. I don't care what color they are. They're going to listen to it, you know. So, but finding that out was kind of, you know, it was disappointing because it was like you're passing up on this guy. This is who you guys are passing up on. And finally you realize, oh, okay, to where MTV start doing Michael Jackson movie premieres, video premieres. MTV was all about Michael Jackson once he, you know, his video played once.
Exactly. And you would think that because of Off the Wall and the success that he
Yes.
had, and
Yeah,
seeing white people come together to listen to his music, that MTV is
exactly.
like, wait, this guy's generating not only just the black community, but the white community as
Yes.
well. So
Right.
maybe there's something more to this that we're
Right.
missing. No, they're just stuck in their bubble to
Yes.
the fact that this is geared towards only black audiences and not towards white and every
Right.
single race.
Right.
So it just amazes me on how much Michael was able to get them out of their own bubble
Yes.
and show them, hey, look, my music is for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm
And he
here to
fought
unite
for his
people.
music, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He
He
fought for
fought
his music. And I love that. As an artist, he fought for his music. And you know, we looked at him as just, you know, so quiet and timid. And no, Michael Jackson was a beast. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that stuff you see on TV, he had to be that and able to push what he wanted and to get those things out there. And although he had people working with him, he had to have a voice to say, this is how I want it done. And he seemed to be the type that if he says get it done, get it done. And there is no I can't. Like he didn't live with I
exactly.
can't, you know. So that quietness, that what we see, you know, on TV, no, I believe that he was a businessman and he was shrewd when he had to be, and he got things
Leasing
done.
was the entertainment side of him.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
the business side of him is like, look, I hired you for a job. And if you can't do
Yes.
my job, then you get your ass on out of here because I
Yeah.
don't need you.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him one bit for I like how he because anybody else would have actually tried to not keep that separate.
Yeah.
But he did a good job of counterbalancing it as like, hey, look, this is a business side of it. The
Yes.
entertainment side is my soft spoken side of myself.
Right.
But even
Yeah.
though I have a soft spoken side of myself, I am going to get serious
Yes.
and stuff. So I
Yeah.
do like that counterbalance between him and the industry and then the entertainment world that we know him in as well. And,
Right.
I just thought that them doing what Jeff R. Jackson did a really good job of
Oh
playing Michael.
my
I never,
gosh.
I found myself watching a Michael Jackson concert the whole entire 2 hours, and I didn't even feel like it was a 2 hour movie.
You know what? That is so funny that you say that because that's exactly how I felt. I literally felt like that. I felt like I had a front row seat in inside Michael Jackson's life, in between concerts, him at doing business meetings, you know, him at home. The Jafari did just such a good job with bringing you into that to where you forget that it's an actor playing Michael Jackson, you know, and especially with the performances. I mean, the facial expressions, the movements, you know, if you go back and look at those concerts and some of the performances that he did, Michael Jackson did, and Jafari, you know, imitated, you know, redid. Seriously, a lot of it is exactly how Michael Jackson was. Now, listen, not everybody can be Michael Jackson and get it down like Michael Jackson, but this kid did a good job. He did a really good job, and it helped that his facial features, his build, you know, was similar to Michael Jackson's build at that time. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, he just absolutely did a good job. And I also want to mention my favorite character um, is Bill. I loved his bodyguard, his driver.
Me too. That was my favorite. He's the MVP of
Yes,
this movie.
absolutely. Bill was great. If that's who he was in real life to Michael Jackson, he did a great job of protecting Michael Jackson, being his sounding board, just every moment that Michael Jackson had in his life at that time. If you see Michael, you saw Bill.
Right. And speaking of Bill, like, let's talk about him because
Yes.
that's something else I wanted to talk about was I like how Michael's like, I really want to go out and do my own thing. I want to go solo,
Yes.
but my father doesn't want me to. He's like, Michael, move out.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, and it's simple for someone to say that when
Yeah.
you're not going through the mental abuse
Right.
because you're gonna be where you feel the most comfortable at,
Yeah.
even when you're going through mental abuse.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Michael at all at that point. It's like, I want to move out, but I can't because I have this shadow in my head that won't go away because of Joe Jackson. And I
Right.
like how Bill's like, just move out. And he's right. He's got Off the Wall. He's got money coming in
Yes.
from that. At this
Yes.
point, he's got a number one album.
Right.
He doesn't need to live at home anymore.
Right.
He can have, and he moves out. He winds up getting out of the whole entire deal with Joe. He
Right.
winds up getting out of the Motown thing, goes into another record label,
Yes.
and he winds up doing even better and more successful than anything because he goes, "I want to be bigger than the Beach Boys. I want to be bigger than anybody,"
Right.
and he
Right.
does it. And he knows what he wants, and he goes
And,
for it.
right. And how he explained it, when he explained it, is kind of like, Haley's comment. If it came around every year, we wouldn't look at it up in the sky. We wouldn't. It'd be normal. The comet's coming around again, same time this year. He wanted to not be. He wanted to be like Haley's comment that came around every few years. He wanted to be mysterious like that, to where you're not bored. It's not like, oh, another Michael Jackson song. It's something that you look forward to. And as you saw the way that he built his career and how videos were dropped, of him, it was exactly that. I mean, let's be real. If there was an award show and Michael Jackson showed up, they wouldn't tell you that Michael Jackson was showing up. He would show up and you would freak the F out because he doesn't do those type of things. So he kept to that, his performances was a mystery.
Right.
You waited for that, so he did exactly what he said he was going to do as far as that's concerned, because you waited.
And every single music song was different from the other. It was
Yeah, yeah.
he always I think the reason why it took him such a long time though is to get the mixing right on stuff, to make
Yeah.
sure he had the right sounds and things like that. He was always experimenting with sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Every album sounds different. It's not the
Yes.
same. And I just love I like his music. I'm a Michael Jackson fan. I found
Right.
myself downloading his greatest hits album right afterwards.
Yeah.
Uh
Same
then
here.
let's see what else I did. I ended up watching Moonwalker right after because I grew
Did
up
you
watching
really?
Moonwalker. Yeah, and I forgot Joe Pesci was even in that movie.
I
But
I came home from the theater and I did the same thing. It just reinvigorated my love for his music. I came home, went on YouTube, subscribed to channels if I wasn't subscribed to them. Right now YouTube's running, 24-hour Michael Jackson, live stream that they're doing on YouTube. I went back and watched some of his videos, and just went down memory lane. I mean, that's how much this movie pumped me,
same here.
after seeing it. It's like, I want to hear some Michael Jackson. I want to see some videos. So definitely did that for me.
Same
I
here.
miss him as an artist.
I do too because there's not many talented people out there now
Right.
that can do what he did and
Right.
has something to say, you know?
Right.
And I think that his music still lives on. He's a legend
Right.
and he's king of pop for crying out loud.
Yes. Yes.
But you know, um I gave this movie a 5 out of 5
Okay.
going off of it because it was just to me it he embodied like I'm not I know I'm repeating myself, but he embodied Jeff R. Jackson embodies Michael. Holman Domingo does a fantastic job of playing Joseph.
Yes.
Matt
Nia
Jackson, I
Long.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like this movie needs to be nominated for best maybe for best picture, but also to have Holman Domingo for best supporting actor, have Jeff R.
Right.
Jackson as best actor.
Right.
But what they need to do is they need to do a re-release of this movie like they did with Sinners to keep people in saying, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
I know this movie came out in the summertime and we have other
Right.
movies, but this was actually the blockbuster of the summer."
Right. And I also want to shout out, Anton Fuqua.
Yeah.
He directed this film. It was written by John Logan, but the direction of the film, the way it went, great job, Mr. Fuqua. He did great.
Antoine
Um,
Fuqua always does a good job with his
yeah,
directing and stuff.
he's great. So it was great that he was directing this. Also, I want to mention that the executive producers of this film was Prince Jackson. He was one of the executive producers. Um, what's the sisters? The one that The
I know
one
who
that
you're
was in a
talking
movie, Latoya
about. Yeah,
Jackson
LaToya.
also was an executive producer of this film. Jermaine Jackson, some of the other brothers were executive producers of the film. So the family was definitely involved in the making of this film.
And I just want to point this out though too. With there's over 4 hours of footage that they actually had to cut,
I'm sure.
and because of the script and stuff like that, it goes through
Right,
changes and things like that. But I
right,
wouldn't be surprised if they try to use some of that footage just for part two, just to save on some time.
right.
But just the fact that this movie was number one and people are still talking about it,
Yes,
it just shows you how much people love Michael, how much they want to actually see a Michael Jackson biopic
right.
and
That's
stuff.
done well.
Yeah.
That's not because the other biopics, I have to say, I mean, I think Flex, who's a comic, he's a funny comic. He played Michael Jackson, I think it was in the 90s. And it was just odd that he played him. And a lot of the movies come off to be as if they're making fun of him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not a real biopic. It's taking shots. It's making fun of him. It's let's sit in a tree. I love sitting in trees. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Right.
like
It's like a parody
seriously, like
film.
yeah, it's like it's to make fun of him. So I wasn't sure, is this going to be one where they're going to take jabs and make fun of him, or is this going to be a real biopic? And it was actually a real biopic, to the
Mhm.
point to where at the end, you enter in the bad tour, you know what I mean? When he's walking out on stage and he's getting ready for the bad tour, and it says his story continues, like you said, in part two, because obviously there's a lot about Michael Jackson that we're going to get into that wasn't so
Right.
pleasant and people still have questions about. And did he do this or did he do that? So I think they're going to touch on that in the next film. And you have to tell the whole story, like you
Right.
said,
You have to tell the whole story. You can't
yeah,
just go on ahead and just rise him up. You have to talk about his downfall. If there's
yes,
any downfalls, you have to
there
talk
was.
about the highs and lows. You can't just
Right,
go on the highs and
right,
stuff. Even though it's
right.
fun to do it, but here's the thing with our lives, we have highs and lows just like everybody
Oh,
else,
yes,
just as Michael does
absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
But I also want to point this out though too, and I was talking to one of my coworkers. She goes, "I had no idea that Michael's skin was going through pigmentism,
Yeah,
where with the
vitiligo,
skin."
yes.
And everybody made those rumors up. Remember us saying, "Oh, he was bleaching his uh
Yes,
himself because he wants to be white."
right.
And as a kid, you believe that, and then as you're a grown adult,
Yeah,
I'm like, no, there's got to be something more to it than
yeah.
that.
You start
And
questioning that
then
shit.
also too, there was also not that much research done during that time about
Yes,
pigmentism or anything like that either.
right,
So, that's also another reason why Michael was trying to hide it, because he
right,
didn't understand it himself probably.
right.
But, I just think that I like how they wind up just touching on it a little bit and then they move on with it and doesn't make it that whole thing. But it's like, oh, okay, so that's what happened to his skin
And then
and stuff.
you had if you watched America's Next Top Model back in the 2000s, you had a model on there that
Mhm.
I believe she won, and yeah, she had vitiligo. She was a black
Yeah,
model and she
vitiligo.
had vitiligo, remember? And
Mhm,
half of her whole face was partially white and partially brown, So it was a thing,
mhm. And thank you for
It's just
correcting
like
me on the
this.
right analogy of it because I was calling it pigmentism. I do appreciate you telling me what
Oh
the
yeah, no
what
problem.
it was, because I know some people
Yeah,
call it that and some people call it the scientific term for it. So I do
right.
thank you for telling me what it actually was.
Yeah, no problem. It was that, and and like you said, it's exactly like you said, John. At that time when he was being diagnosed with that, and I'm happy that they hit on that because you have to explain that, you have to talk about that, and him having that was just it. If it was true, I believe it was real. I believe it.
I
I
do
mean,
too.
as you get older, you said you start questioning things. It's like why would he have to lie about that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but yeah, vitiligo, and he had it. It just wasn't something that people knew about at that time. So I would have covered up too.
And I also have one other question, then we can wrap up.
Yes.
But what did you think of Joe Jackson and the ABC show? And did you think that they did a good job at depicting who he is in the ABC show, or do you think that they did a better job in this one?
Um, I think that they did a better job in this one. Yeah,
I
I
feel
think that
like
this
yeah.
one is to me was much better depiction of him. Um, like I said, they had to play it a little light, but you get the point. You get
Mhm.
it. Yeah. So I definitely this one portrayed him a lot better. What about you?
I think so too. And I think that the ABC one worked for its time. I think it might be a little too over the top in a sense.
Right.
Now, if you go back and look at certain things, but then you can still feel some of the maybe some of the emotion or whatever. But I think that there's a balance with Coleman playing it because you don't have to be
Yes.
the loudest person in the room
Right.
to be threatening. You can
Right.
just be chilled and cold as
Right.
ice like Coleman can and
Yeah.
be able to convince us that this guy is really haunting and towering over me, not only
Right.
physically, but mentally.
Right.
So there's 2 different ways of about going about it. You don't have to be loud to be threatening.
Right.
So
And
I
listen,
I like the silliness.
I'm gonna give him his credit as their father. I'm gonna give him his credit. He put this band together. He put these kids together, and he put them on a
Mhm.
pathway to become stars. I actually, how he went about it and why he went about it that way. Original stage parent, right?
Right.
Um, but I give him his credit. These kids had a life and lived in a way that was just amazing. And he did see that his kids had talent. Also, though, was it him living through those kids? You know what I mean? Because they showed him with the guitar at times.
Because you
And
remember, he worked in the mines and stuff like that
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
And I understand that you want the best for your kids
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and you want them to be able to do better than you.
Right.
But then once they start doing better than you, you
Yeah.
start living
Yeah.
he went about it the wrong way. He wanted to live
Yes.
through their eyes now and benefit off of
Right.
them.
Right.
So, I
Right.
understand it from his perspective in a sense of like, I want my kids to do better than I did, so they don't
Right.
have to work in this minefield because he even mentioned it to them. He goes, "Look, do you
Yes.
want to work there all your life, or you want to go
Right.
ahead and do something else?"
Right. And you
So,
figure Gary, Indiana, poor,
yeah,
poor at that. I mean, a town that's probably hard to get out of. You know what I mean? So I give him his credit. He gave them a pathway, to become. Did they even? My thing is, did they even want to perform? Did they want to be this? Or did they have dreams of being something else? He just put this together. But whatever, he put them together. He made them into and helped them to become legends, because they all are legends. Every single Jackson Five. I don't care if they didn't have the career that Michael had, but they are legends in their own right. So, you know, dad made that happen.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So our question for you is, what did you guys think of Michael? Did you like Michael? Did you not like Michael? Tell us in the comments below. What was your rating for this movie? How many times did you see Michael? Because I know one of my friends seen this movie over 7 times. But tell us in the comments. We'd like to actually know what stood out for you. What's your favorite moments in the movie? What's your favorite Michael Jackson song? Were you like us, where we're like, oh, we're gonna let nostalgia take over and we're gonna go ahead and go on YouTube and watch Moonwalker for free? Yeah, I did that. So but anyways, guys, but yeah, I think that's everything that we had wanted to cover as far as Michael goes.
Yes.
So I'm still standing on my 5 out of 5. It's a great movie. Go
I'm
check
with you,
it out.
John.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 5 out of 5 for us. You can't go wrong with us. I will try and do like a Mortal Kombat 2 review coming up sometime next week. So prepare for that. And let's see, we actually have a comment
Yes.
from Jojo. Hey Jojo.
Jojo the Patriot Woman.
Man, I like that. I like that, JoJo. Man in the Mirror is my favorite song. You know what? Mine is like Smooth. I like Smooth Criminal. That's my favorite one. That's my go-to and Beat It.
I liked Billie Jean, but my all-time favorite dance one is Remember the Time.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That's my favorite.
You know, okay, I know I posted this on my Facebook page, but you know
Yeah.
what I always thought he said when he goes, "I'm bad."
Yeah.
I thought he was saying, "I'm a man. I'm a man." I'm like, "Yeah, you are the man." I'm like, that was me when I was a kid. I was like, "I'm man. I'm a man." I'm like, and I'm like, "No, it's I'm bad." I'm like,
Been guilty, been guilty.
"Yep."
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it as far as this show goes. And JoJo of the Patriots, probably LOL. Yep. Thank you for your patriotism. We do appreciate it.
Yes, Glenn.
Let's see. Okay, guys. Well, that's going to be it as far as this show goes. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe button, and all that other good stuff here at Movie Lovers Night. And I have a couple of more announcements coming up later on. So you guys can check that out on the community tab and stuff. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.